Minister, can you tell me how important it is for a militarily neutral country like Ireland to be in partnership with an organisation like NATO?
Well, of course, Ireland has had a traditional stance of neutrality in the context of certain aspects of international issues. That concept of neutrality, of course, doesn't have any major relevance in the fight against terrorism or in dealing with cybercrime, cybersecurity issues, and in dealing with some of the very real threats that both Europe and Ireland has to address today. It's very important that we're involved in the Partnership for Peace arrangement with NATO. We've been there since 1999. It ensures that we can operate with the skill levels that NATO operates at. It facilitates us in engaging in UN peacekeeping missions.
Over recent years, insurgents in Afghanistan have made extensive use of IEDs, or improvised explosive devices. Ireland has unique experience in countering this threat. How has this been applied in Afghanistan?
Well, firstly, I think it's a very important niche area of expertise that we have. We provide training in that area, as well as engaging in what is necessary to neutralise IEDs. Unfortunately and tragically, it's a skill that was developed and honed in Ireland during the course of the difficulties in Northern Ireland and the troubles that we had over 30 years with subversive groups using improvised explosive devices. Of course, it is largely peaceful in Ireland now, although we have a remnant of subversives engaged in what I regularly describe as criminal terrorism. But this is still an issue, though, on the island, because IEDs became a weapon that some of those engaged in organised crime are using. They're using it in battles that criminal gangs are fighting with each other. So we would still have in Ireland today our defence forces in aid of the civil power, which is essentially in aid of our police force, being called out to neutralise these weapons. In the region of 90 such call-outs occurred during 2012.
NATO has experienced an image problem in some neutral countries. How has that played out in Ireland?
I think the Irish public very substantially support our troops in engaging in peace missions. The NATO PFP arrangement that we're a party to hasn't given rise to any difficulty or controversy in Ireland. I think it would be probably accurate to say that the vast majority of the general public don't tune in to these things. There's always in Ireland a very small group of people who come to these things with an ideological perspective, who you simply mention NATO to and they get overexcited. But as you know, we had the Secretary General of NATO in Ireland for our defence informal. I think it was very valuable that the Secretary General was able to come to what was an informal meeting of EU defence ministers and address issues of mutual interest and concern. And of course it's relevant when 21 of the EU member states are members of NATO.
We've heard today that a change in mindset is needed from a national perspective to a more international perspective. Do you feel the political will is there to do that?
I think the strange benefit of the current financial difficulties, where all European Union countries are looking as to how they can reduce expenditure, control expenditure, where it's generally understood across the defence areas and the different ministries that there's unlikely to be additional funding over the next 2 to 3 years, and indeed there could be further cutbacks. I think that is creating a very beneficial pressure to cooperate to a greater degree. And I think we can do things a lot more efficiently, use resources more wisely by engaging in greater cooperation than we have done to date, and indeed by focusing on what are the common interests of the member states in Europe.